Good evening, everyone. I'm Wendell Jones, and welcome to this edition of the program, Jones and Company. On this program, we examine the national issues of the Bahamas and sometimes international issues. There are a whole lot of Bahamians who travel to Cuba for medical services. Indeed, they travel for touristic purposes as well. But on our program today, we are going to talk about the Cuban medical services and the extent Bahamians are accessing the services in Cuba. Our guests in this portion of our program today, Cuban Dr. Osvaldo Hector, who is head of the Department of International Relations of the Cuban Medical Services Agency, and he's accompanied on this program today by Leslie Simone Gibson, and she is head of Bahama Health and Beauty. And it's a pleasure to have them both here on our program today. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here today.
Thank you for having us.
Very good. Let's begin with Dr. Osvaldo Hector.
Yep.
Tell us about the international relations of the Cuban Medical Agency.
Well, as you already said, there are a lot of Bahamians coming to Cuba for medical reasons, but not just Bahamians. We have received for more than 25 years patients coming from different countries, most of them from Latin American countries, for medical reasons. Not just for tourists, because you know there are more than 1 million of Canadians or Europeans coming to Cuba to enjoy beaches and sun and weather in general. As you Bahamians, you have also a lot of tourism here. But health and tourism is a peculiar kind of tourism, because you are not going for fun, even when you can get profit of both stuff in the very same way. But you are going just for a medical reason. So it demands a lot of arrangement. Previously, you have to prepare your trip to be sure, first of all, that you are getting some kind of treatment, some sort of treatment that you need. And also because you have to do all the arrangements, accommodation, transportation, for a very peculiar kind of client. A patient is not a regular tourist that needs a hotel, and if the hotel is not as good as he's supposed, okay, that is it. But anyway, we are thinking about a patient who has some kind of a special situation, a disease, a medical condition, and needs some special care. So this is why we assist. We are, a medical agency, but dealing with patients coming from abroad, and they need special care.
So your agency, if you can slow down a little bit, because I need to understand exactly what you're saying. Your agency is responsible for, well, you're promoting medical tourism.
Yeah. What we are promoting is a complete package when patients ask, first of all, through email or phone or whatever, if it's possible to get some kind of specific treatment in Cuba. So when we offer that and we say, okay, we have for you this option, the patient evaluates that. If he agrees with that, all the conditions that we offer, we made all the arrangements to come to Cuba to receive the medical treatment over there. Okay, we are offering, first of all, we are offering sometimes treatments that are different. They are offering in a different manner or with a different technique or product which is not available in Florida or in the United States in general or in other places. I will give you two quick examples.
Give me two.
Okay. Diabetic food. You know, people suffering from this kind of ulcers in your food because of you are suffering diabetes and there is not control. We have a medicament. The name of the medicament is Everprod, which is developed by Cuban scientists that cures that kind of ulcers. We are
ulcers in the foot. In
the foot, yes, because of the diabetic, which is not under control, and they have some metabolic disorders and difficulties with the blood circulation, and they produces the ulcer and provokes the ulcer in the foot. So we have this kind of treatment that is a good one. It's developed by Cuban scientists. They have a lot of achievements in that field, and is available in Cuba, but unfortunately it's not available in other countries because of some kind of regulation or stuff. So you can get this product in Cuba, and they say that the specialists in that matter that food that are already ready to be amputated, to be cut in other countries are safe in Cuba because of this medicament. Another example, other scientists in Cuba have developed some kind of vaccine for lung cancer. And this is a state-of-the-art technology that they have over there, and they can use it in some kind of cancer. And it helps to save lives. So this product is not available otherwise in other places than Cuba. So these are two quick samples that you can get different treatments that you can get in other places. Also, you can get regular treatments, I mean orthopedics, eye surgery, neurological restoration and rehabilitation for people suffering strokes or handicapped people in a close, similar way that you will get it in Florida, but I can tell that for 100% sure, cheaper that you can get it there. Well, I understand there are some issues with the insurance and that stuff, but if you have to pay by yourself, I'm talking about patients paying themselves the bill, it's cheaper. It's 30-40% less expensive when you get this treatment in Cuba than in other places.
Okay. Dr. Hector, we're going to come back to you. We're going to talk about the finances, but let's engage Leslie Simone Gibson. Your agency, you have an agency called what?
Spa Health and Beauty Ltd.
Okay, explain that to us and what exactly you do.
Okay, thank you. Spa Health is a Bahamian-owned company. We are a medical tourism agency. We send Bahamians and people living in the Bahamas to Cuba for medical care. Also in cosmetic surgery, but primarily for medical care and rehabilitation services.
So you would know all of the medical institutions that are in Cuba, yes?
Yes, all of the medical institutions that are regulated by the Republic of Cuba.
Okay,
Yes.
so if I came to you with a specific request, what do? You facilitate everything?
We facilitate the medical program that you need, your travel, your transportation arrangements from the airport in Havana to the hospital, your food, everything is covered for your medical care and your stay in Cuba.
So I came to you, and to use as an example, I have a diabetic foot.
Yep.
You would then suggest the best institution, or do I tell you which institution I want to go to?
Many Bahamians have gone to Cuba already for medical care, and so some clients actually request which hospital that they want to go to based on the hospital that they've been to before in Cuba. However, when I see the client's record or the patient's record, Spa Health sends the record to Cuba or to Dr. Osvaldo, and Dr. Osvaldo, along with his team of specialists, assess the patient, and they will let us know exactly which hospital or clinic is best for them.
So you have an alliance with Dr. Hector, Dr. Osvaldo?
Yes.
I see. Okay. Now, Dr. Hector, let me say this to you. I've heard of many Bahamians who have gone to Cuba. And while some have been impressed with the service, some have not been impressed with the facilities in Cuba. They want state-of-the-art facilities, and we know that there has been an embargo has been in place in Cuba for many years, which made it a little difficult for some of these Cuban medical institutions to get the kind of technology that they should have, or to have the kind of facilities that they should have. And I'd like for you to speak to those two things.
This is true. This is true. You know, this is not a justification. It's not a bomb. But this is true that because of the embargo, we had a lack of some issues on, equipment or technology. In fact, we have not access to some kind of medicaments that are required in, for instance, in chemotherapy, because the leader specialists in that matter are the United States. So when they have a new medicament, we are not allowed to buy that. So this is true. This is true, but we have to handle that, trying to send the patients to the best facilities that we have when we have all those stuff guaranteed. MRI equipment, CT scan, technology, and plus that, Yeah, I mean, accommodation is necessary, good stuff, I mean, regarding the equipment and stuff, but we bet that the main goal here is the health of the patient. If you can achieve that through the human commitment, the skills of the doctors, the capacity to deal with the patient, and they have the knowledge to do that, this is the most important thing. So you can have state-of-the-art technology, you can have the best facility in the world, but if you don't have, even you can have very qualified doctors, but if you don't have everything get together with the commitment of the doctors, with the work that you have in a real team, when they work together trying to get the best for the patient, it doesn't work. So this is what we have over there.
But technology is extremely important in medical science
for
today.
sure, it's important, but I can say this is not the sole stuff that you have to take into consideration. It's like a table that you need different points of support. You can have the good one, you can have the best technology in the world, but if you don't have the other stuff, it could fall down. So technology is important, and I repeat, when I talk to you, I give you two examples. I mean, the diabetic food and the vaccine for lung cancer, which are based in technology. So this is, it doesn't mean that we don't have anything. We are like in the past. No, we are developing our own technology, and we have equipment about from most of them from European companies, because we are not allowed to buy until now the American equipment. But I repeat it, it's necessary to get together everything, not just technology, because it's very important, but it's not the unique stuff.
You know, many Bahamians have gone to Cuba because they have had various forms of cancer. And the treatment is extremely expensive, especially the chemotherapy. How expensive is it in Cuba?
Well, I will talk about the vaccine because it's the
vaccine.
The vaccine, yeah.
But let's talk about chemotherapy
Okay, well,
as well.
chemotherapy is expensive, depending on what you can say. Of course, chemotherapy depends very much about the medicament that you use. There are different medicaments depending on the kind of cancer and the stage of the disease, and chemotherapy will be about $5,000
Total?
Yep. I don't think it's too expensive.
For the entire?
For the entire, I mean, several seasons of treatment depending on the condition. You know, it's difficult to
Because
generalize.
there are certain people who require various rounds of treatment?
That's the point, that if you need several rounds, it would take more than this, 7,000 more or less. But I don't think, in comparison with other countries, I repeat, I use United States in comparison because we are talking about the Bahamas, and we are, it's like a triangle. We are very close one each other, and when you think an option for medical treatments in the Bahamas, I think the first option would be United States or Cuba. So I used to compare United States, and our treatments used to be 30-40% less than expensive.
What makes it 30-40% less? Why is it that cheaper?
Most of them, I insist,
or less
because
expensive?
it doesn't depend just about the medicament. Most of the products that we use in Cuba are made in Cuba.
Most of the products made in Cuba?
Yeah.
You make medicine for chemotherapy in Cuba?
Not in that case, but all of other products, I mean antibiotics, different medical products we made in Cuba because of the embargo. Remember that we have been suffering for more than 50 years that embargo, and we needed to start working by ourselves to find solutions. And when you don't have the possibility to develop, to buy the products, you have to start to make by yourself. So
is it true that you're using more generic products in Cuba than anywhere else?
We use a lot of generics just to make it cheaper and accessible to everyone. This is the idea. You know, when you make your own products and you can buy the original products to make by yourself the products, it makes it cheaper at the end. For instance, we are doing ourselves all the treatments for AIDS. We don't buy nothing from international companies, and so the products that we use for AIDS, for Cuban patients, all of them are made in Cuba.
So the retroviral drugs, for instance, that the Clinton Foundation has been promoting, you don't get any of that from the Clinton Foundation?
Well, I cannot tell you 100% sure because I'm not informed on everything, but as far as I know, all the treatments that you use in Cuba for AIDS are made in Cuba. More than this, we are also doing some deals with the Health International Organization to produce it's like a joint venture. I don't know how to call that, but it's like this, to use the Cuban acknowledgement about that with the capacity of Brazilian or South African companies to produce, because they have the industry, and a financial support of the International Health Organization to make these products to use it in Africa.
Well, both of you now can speak on success rates, the extent to which procedures have been, to your knowledge, successful in Cuba, the success rates that you have been experiencing. Speak to that, Simone Gibson.
Okay. Bahamians have been traveling to Cuba for decades, over 50 years. Bahamians and Cuba have had a very, very good relationship, and one of the foundations for that relationship has been the medical care. And if you don't mind, I'd like to just answer one question that you asked about Bahamians having positive and negative experiences with medical care in Cuba at the hospitals. Well, the only reason that a Bahamian would experience poor facilities is because they're not going through an agency like Baha Health and Beauty. So many Bahamians are going to Cuba on their own, and they're not going through an agency which guarantees that the patient, the Bahamian patient, is going to a hospital that is within the international medical program. Because there's a difference between, in Cuba, in the Ministry of Health, there is a specific agency for international patients, such as Bahamians, Canadians, Europeans, and Americans. And those facilities are always state-of-the-art. The food is state-of-the-art. There are programs for children where they can ride horses for rehabilitation. Many of these hospitals and clinics are resorts that have been converted into hospitals. So as long as a Bahamian is going through an agency such as Baha Health, we're the only certified agency to send Bahamians to Cuba. You're guaranteed state-of-the-art equipment and facilities.
Okay. You wish to add to that? You speak about state-of-the-art facilities. Of course, I expect you to promote that you do have state-of-the-art facilities.
No,
but we're talking about in comparison to what? Because here again, we have to go back to the extent to which you are able to access state-of-the-art equipment, the extent to which you've been able to access all of the materials needed to provide a state-of-the-art service.
Yeah. You know, I repeat, probably we can beat United States or Europe in the equipment. They are always ready to produce.
You can't beat them in the equipment.
No, they always produce a new equipment. They have, in this year they have a new technology for that, and this is good. This is important.
So the point is that you cannot compare yourself with the U.S. or Canada or Europe for state-of-the-art equipment.
In technology, I mean in equipment, I could say, okay, they will also be one step faster than us. Okay, that will be fine. But it doesn't mean that we are in Stone Age, though we have all equipment and it's not working. We have good equipment. In fact, that we bought that in Europe because we are not allowed to buy in the United States, and it's more expensive for us to buy that. Anyway, but we have good equipment, state-of-the-art, as you said, and it's what the patient needs. So I don't think that having the last equipment with NASA technology, that would be the sole solution. We have equipment which is fine, is super good, is enough good to have a good treatment, plus the difference that I mean that in my opinion is the most important, the acknowledgement of the doctors and the specialists, the technicians, and the way that they work together, and the commitment that they put in their
Well, let's speak about the knowledge base. And you get knowledge sometimes based on your ability to access equipment. You get knowledge on the basis of interfacing with other professionals around the world.
Yep.
You do have thousands of medical practitioners, of doctors in Cuba, I understand. But let's speak to the extent to which they are able to exchange information with other medical professionals around the world.
Yeah, this is true, that it happens. In fact, you say that we have thousands of doctors in Cuba, but it's true that we have thousands of doctors abroad. We have a lot of Cuban doctors working in different countries, I mean, in Africa, but not just in undeveloped countries in Africa helping people over there, but working also in developed countries as South Africa and even in China or in Latin American countries, working over there to help these people with some kind of agreements. But we also have contacts and we also have exchange with the main hospitals and clinics, most in Latin American
But I'm
countries.
talking about specialists now.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm talking about specialists.
We're talking about general practitioners.
No. Both. We have general practitioners and we have specialists working abroad and having some kind of exchange in these hospitals. I mean, for instance, Colombia is well known for eye surgery and ophthalmological surgery. So we have exchanges with these doctors over there, and we are sending our professionals to work with them to share their own experiences. And also in Brazil or in Mexico, even in the United States, because the embargo has some limits, but science is, a little bit up over that. You know, doctors, they don't care about politics and they exchange their own experience. And sometimes there are doctors, American doctors, allowed to come to Cuba, and Cuban doctors have been in the United States. So using the United States as the reference for medicine, which in fact is not always the best place to go because we have good doctors and good specialists all over the world. They have also links with, between both, and we have a change with them.
Okay, let's take a break here on the program. We are talking about medical services in Cuba today on Jones and Company. In this segment, we'll come right back.